So it's pretty bad. Yeah, anyway. All right, somebody's asking me for that. All right.
I think
I
the
have,
only way to
I was telling the
control
other officers that I have a creek behind my house. I live in Baldwin. There's a creek system that runs kind of through Baldwin and Manchester. And when it really rains like that, the creek sits about 10 feet down from my yard. It'll come up and it gets rapids in there. I always joke with my wife that I'm going to get a kayak and go kayaking in there when it does that. And it'll sometimes come up over the back third of my yard, but our yard kind of rises up to my house. So I never really fear that I'm going to get any of that in my basement or anything. And, and Charlie, my basement is just the opposite of concrete and just, we one of the selling points we bought this house is the previous owner put in a really nice basement bar and a theater room. And so, hopefully we'll, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, our sump pump is never, in the 6 years we've owned this place, it's never even gone off once that I can tell. So.
Wow. Well, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it, whatever rabbit's foot you've got, keep rubbing it.
Well, we had it was a couple years ago where it was flooding in some of the bottom of my backyard from the creek. And it was so bad, it was even running down our street. Mm-hmm. We had little rapids going down our street, and I mean, huge puddles everywhere, but nothing got in the house. So I'm, again, fingers crossed that, we're situated pretty well here, and we'll, hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
Well, if you came through on this last rain, you should be good, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have a problem. And we were down in Costa Rica a few weeks ago when all that happened. And so my father-in-law came over to check on our house and made sure everything was good for us. My only thing that I'm aggravated about is, as some of you have heard me talk before, I have a home weather station and I've got instruments up over my garage roof. So they're up I've got it connected to the garage, and then a pole goes up, and it's about 6 or 7 feet above my garage roof. So it's not easy to get to for me, but evidently my rain gauge went bad on me sometime in recent weeks and quit reporting. So all those historic rains we have, I have no weather data on it that go in my weather history with my, home stuff. And so it's kind of aggravating. I've got to get up on the roof. I've been a little under the weather, so I've been waiting till I feel better to get up there. Cause I think sometimes I've been reading online that you can get cobwebs or other things, in there, bugs or whatever that clog it up. So I need to get up. I'm not bothered by heights, but I got to tell you, I really hate being on ladders and roofs. I think it's just the not feeling like I'm balanced and stuff. I can't stand it. So I'm not really looking forward to having to go up there and clean that thing out and get it working again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the reason I got rid of my gutters. I had a hell of a time keeping my gutters clean. And I used to have, I'd have a shop vac and a couple of big plastic tubes, and I walked that along while standing on the ground, because I tried before getting up on a ladder, and I didn't like that at all.
Well, I'm like you. We have gutter guards on all of our gutters, so I love that. Oh
yeah, that's the leaf guard is. I've been 2 years now, and I haven't had a problem. Knock on wood. So,
well, again, those came with the house, so I never had to deal with all that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, I had the same experience you did with dealing with copper gutters. And we finally got rid of those and got not the brand name gutter guard or gutter helmet or whatever it's called, but it's the same thing. And it's a night and day difference.
Oh, yeah. You can sleep at night then. If you get a downpour, you're not worried about it flowing and flooding your basement. So, yeah, I mean, and that's, it was one of those things that I was always out there, and I had a big clog in my big downspout. When the guys rebuilt my chimney, the guys doing it dropped a big chunk of masonry down the downspout, and it lodged about halfway down, and I didn't know it. Of course, they didn't say anything. And trying to figure out why this one side of the house always overflowed. And that's why, so.
Okay, guys, it's a little after 7, so I'm gonna get started here. Let's see. We've got John, he's our president. We've got Steve Maynard, he's our first vice president. Glenn House is our second vice president, and he invited our guest speaker tonight. Alan is there, he's our treasurer, and I'm the secretary and club finance director. The last Wednesday of this month, which is the 31st, the St. Louis Apple Professionals will meet. They have information on their meetup website. Upcoming meetings in September, there's rumors out that Apple's going to have announcements of new products, possibly the new iPhone and such. So if that happens, that's what we'll cover in September. Otherwise, anything we don't get through to tonight will carry over to next month. The membership rewards program will continue. I'm writing down people's names right now, and that drawing will take place in December of 2022 on the 13th. For Apple, $100 Apple gift cards will be given away. For this meeting, we're going to talk about Garageband and song creation with Glenn's guest speaker,
Well-
digitizing slides, which Steve and Grant, where is he? I thought I saw him. Oh, there he is. He's driving a car. With Grant, we'll have put together. And if there's time, paying dues with Apple Cash, which Steve has put together that. We're at the point for questions, tips and tricks. Does anybody have a question for the group?
Well, hold on, before we get to that, Ron, I have a feeling that what we are worried about is going to happen. The gentleman I have that's going to be joining us, he lives up in Canada. And so while he's on Central Standard Time, it didn't dawn on Ron and I till we were just talking, and I just shot him an email about 15 minutes ago, because while we're both on Central Standard Time, they don't probably change their clocks like we did. And so we were all set on 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And it didn't even dawn on me to make sure that, we were on the same time. Because
Well, what I figure, Glenn, is
Central
as
Daylight.
soon as he comes in, we can
Yeah.
stop whatever we're doing and let you proceed with that presentation. Sound
Okay. Yeah, I shot him an email, so hopefully, he may not join us till 8 o'clock, but he might, see that and pop on sooner. So
Yeah.
like Ron said, we can kind of go and do some other stuff first, and then when he joins us, we can switch to that.
Okay, so let's go to any questions out from the group or from the members to anybody in the group here tonight. Any questions out there?
I have a brief, I guess I'll call it an announcement. I will be putting this onto the GAMUG list, but I have my wife's 21-inch iMac from 2019 that was barely used. That is for sale because she's got a MacBook Pro now that she uses as her desktop computer. As soon as I look up the details on Mac Tracker or one of those sites and get a detailed listing of all the features that it has, I'll be putting that on GAMUG list. I'd like to make it available to GAMUG members first before going out to the wider world and give it people in the group a shot at it. It's a nice computer, 21-inch screen, not as big as some of the ones that you can buy in the stores now, but still a nice display. And it's got a discrete graphics card, I know. So it's not exactly a speed burner, but on the other hand, it's no slouch either. So I'll be giving a detailed description of that and putting on a GAMUG list as soon as I've got that put together.
Yeah, that sounds good, John. Any other questions or comments from the group?
Just looking here on the web at time-time.net, Central Time is the same in Winnipeg as it is in Chicago, which is the same as it is here.
Right.
Yeah, but we're on daylight time, remember, and I'm
Well,
sure in
that's what it's
Canada, they
saying,
do
pretty
not
much.
go on daylight time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they pretty much are saying here. I mean, basically it's 7 o'clock, 7:08 PM in Winnipeg, 7:08 in Chicago, and of course 7:08 here.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? Okay.
Well, Yeah,
Let's move
I
on.
just communicated via email with him today, so, you know, hopefully he'll be joining us, so at some point
Okay.
here.
Anybody have a review? Any new product or software that you start using and would like to tell the group about?
I have a question.
Sure.
It, on the camera, when you go to take a picture on the iPhone,
Mhm.
how do you set it to daylight to make it like you're using daylight film in your camera? And you remember the old film days, the film that you buy and load into the camera was daylight film.
I
There's
don't know
some
if there
filters you
is a
can use.
setting for that, but I do know that there are, and I'd have to get my phone out to look at it. But I know that there are different effects that you can put on pictures. I don't know that one of them specifically does that, though.
I think that'd be a good question for the internet because specifically, I don't have a clue.
I would also say if you're looking for something like that and it doesn't natively do it, there are a ton of photo apps out there that, you know, do effects and things like that. And, you know, you might look for that kind of thing.
Well, I'm trying to take pictures of patterns and I'm having a problem with the automatic color correction. Just shifting automatically. I want to be able, when I see a certain white balance in the camera, I would like to just freeze it. And then I'll move the camera and take a picture of what I'm trying to take a picture of without the white balance always shifting on me.
Tammy, I think there's a way when you take a picture, go to edit, or I think it's edit, and you have a choice, like a slider of different brightnesses and different settings. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but that might serve your purpose. I don't know.
I'm looking in the settings now, settings camera, and one of those is photographic styles. And when you select it and swipe through the options, you have things like standard, rich contrast, vibrant, warm, and the vibrant one looks like it might be the one, Tammy, that you're after. I'm not sure which setting is one that's closest to what you want, but that's where I found some ability to adjust the phone to get the effect that you're looking for.
So it's just basically in the settings and not in
Settings,
the camera.
camera, photographic styles. And that's just within the settings in the phone. As I guess it was Ron that was said, there's a ton of apps, or was it Glenn, one of the two? There's a whole bunch of apps out there that will allow you to go, I'm sure, well beyond what the settings that Apple gives you. But for now, at least you could experiment with those.
Is there somebody who's actually using an app right now that they absolutely love and live by?
No, but I do know in the officers meeting, I thought we talked a while ago about maybe doing something on like iPhone photography at a meeting sometime. Does that ring a bell? Any of the
Yeah,
other-
that's one of our, pretty long ago, we talked about that, yeah.
I don't know, maybe if that's a topic that a lot of people are interested in, we could, you know, do something on that on one of our meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tammy. Any other reviews or new stuff you wanted to mention?
I'll kind of mention a device that I love. It's not a new device. I've been using it. I bought it, gosh, a couple of years ago now. And I thought about that a minute ago, so I pulled it up when I purchased it. But I love, you know, I'm kind of a, I don't want to say a fanatic, but I try to be pretty thorough in backing up my drives. You know, I know stuff gets backed up to iCloud, but I'm still also backing up stuff to a portable drive. I run a backup of my hard drive once a week on my portable drive. And so that way I just have, you know, multiple places to pull stuff from, because I've too often in the past, I've lost stuff. So, and these portable drives, you know, I have found that they often fail, you know, eventually they all fail. And eventually I don't know, I've never had the best of luck, but a couple of years ago, I was in the market. I needed to get a new one. And I found one that was highly rated, and I think it is the best external drive I've ever used. I'm going to share my screen real quick here so you can see. Can you guys all see this here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a Samsung, as you can see, T5 portable drive. It's an SSD. I have this is the one I bought, the 2 terabyte one. I think the price has gone up because I don't remember paying that much for it when I paid, which is not surprising because the price of a lot of things has gone up. But anyway, I got to tell you, this thing is, and I wish I had it on me, but I would say it's probably the size of about a Tic Tac box. It's about this big, and it, but thinner than a Tic Tac box. And I mean, this thing just screams. It is, I'm able to back up, my drive is about filled with about almost a terabyte of stuff. And I'm able to, do my backups. I use this as my time machine backup. And I've never, I think I bought this like in late 2020 or latter half of 2020. So I've been using it for about 2 years now, and I've never had a problem with it. And my backups are great. So if anybody's in the market for an external backup, I would recommend that.
Right.
I have a question. I just bought a MacBook Pro 14-inch, and it's got new ports on it. It's got the USB-C ports on it. And my time machine backup has USB-A on both ends. Can I just get a new cable, or do I need to go get a new time machine backup drive?
I was going to answer your question, but does anybody hear the echo we have here?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
I'm
getting
getting
bad feedback from somebody. Steven, might be you.
Okay, I think it's gone now.
I muted
Whoever-
Steve. I think it's him.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a couple devices or something he had there.
I was already muted.
Yeah.
No. I think it was Stephen Handpeter, not you, Steve Maynard.
Hey, Glenn,
Yeah,
Glenn, I'd like to second your recommendation on Samsung. My wife's hard drive failed and I took it apart because I wanted to see what the inside it would look like. And when I had to replace it, I bought her a 1 terabyte hard drive for $100. And then I looked into my office and determined that I had 2 of the hard drives that had just, like hers had just failed. So I bought 3 Samsung drives at $100 each. So it was $300 for 3 terabytes. And I
okay.
have one of them running on backup. And then I have one for photographs, and then I have the third one for general backup.
Yeah, I love that little drive. Like I said, a tiny little thing. I mean, literally, I can slip it in my pocket. It's so small and fast and large. And I'm probably jinxing myself. It's probably going to die on me now, like in the next month that I said that. But it's so far been the best one I've used. Alan, to get back,
Do you
to
leave it attached most of the time, or do you just? I was
Say that
asking him
again?
about I was saying, do you leave it attached most of the time, or you just put it on once a week to back up?
No, I never have it attached unless I'm backing up. I just,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I know Time Machine will back up automatically all the time. When
I think Grant's trying to show us,
Something like that,
Grant,
unless you-
your background's interfering with that.
Yeah, I see that. Anyway, that's the hard drive.
I can't see it. Oh, that's after you took it apart.
Yes,
Yeah, I've taken hard drives apart before.
I never have taken one apart before, and I can't believe that they work.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
Alan, I have a solution. I have something that has worked for me with respect to your USB-A cable. I don't know if I'm getting this centered correctly or
I can
focused
see
correctly.
that there, yeah. Oh, it's just a
Okay, this is-
USB-A to C jumper?
Yeah, this is by Canex or Canex, Kanex, and it's got a little this in the again, I don't know if I'm getting this.
Yeah, well, we can see it fine.
Yeah, okay. This is I don't know if I may have that backwards. Anyway, so it looks like this. I've used this for USB-C to USB-A drive connections before, and it works fine. So that's, and I've got another one here that was just a no name that I think I got at Micro Center. I found no difference between the sort of the brand name CanX and the no name ones. They all seem to work, at least under the limited. I haven't really, I'm not doing anything with it that pushes them too hard or that requires a whole lot of bandwidth. But for what you're doing, backing up to a time machine drive, this looks like it would be a good way to go about it, unless you have a way of easily replacing the cable that is part of that time machine drive. If it's built in to the housing, you're out of luck.
It's not built in. I did see a USB-A to C drive in Walgreens when I was getting something else there, and but it said Android on it, so I didn't really think that might work. I didn't know.
No.
Um,
You don't want to
I don't
go
know
there.
why. It doesn't carry power or something? I don't know. Yeah, it might not carry power. if it
Well, that's
does.
just it. You don't know what it's carrying and you don't know what bandwidth it might have. And the one
Right.
that's sitting next to it on the shelf might have half the performance or twice the performance of the one that's in the front, that's, this out in front where you can reach it. So there's no telling on what any of those things are. But I wouldn't trust any of them.
I also personally, like, I know when well, before I just bought this MacBook Pro last year, but the one I had before it, when kind of everything went to USB-C on there, I actually just bought a new drive because frankly, some of the old drives I used took forever to back up such large amounts of data. And that was another reason I wanted a USB-C drive, is just for the increased speed. So, you could do something like that, or you could just go new with something.
Probably, yeah.
And Alan, to answer your question, I never keep mine connected until Time Machine comes up, and I've got a little reminder every week, hey, you need to back up your drive, and then I just go get it and plug it in. And, I'm usually, if anything, it takes a while to sift through all the data I need to see what it needs to update. That takes way longer than the actual update itself. Once it gets started on that thing, it just, blows through that in 4 or 5 minutes. So.
Grant? What brand of hard drive did you say failed? Because you said 3 hard drives failed for you.
No.
No, I think he said he bought 3 hard drives. He had 1 fail.
Oh, I thought he said 3 hard drives failed and he bought 3 SSDs.
Yeah, I did hear, well, things that 2 other drives had failed.
I'll let him explain.
No, one was a mechanical hard drive that was on my wife's computer and it failed. So in order to, and it was going to fail, you could tell it was about ready to fail. So I bought her a 1 terabyte Samsung, like the one that same brand as Glenn bought, Samsung. I put it on her computer and had it on the time machine, and it recovered everything. Fortunately, by the time we got the new compute, though we had a big go round with Apple. But anyway, they finally got the computer fixed, and the Samsung 1 terabyte was backed up, provided the backup. So it recovered her computer. And I thought, oh, that's going to happen to me because these things are going to fail. There's it's going to fail 100%.
So your other 2
guaranteed.
hard drives weren't yet actually failed or failing. You were just figuring they're old and you were getting some new drives as a precaution.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
And I realized that I was in the same situation that she was going to be, because my hard drives were going to fail sometime. They were going to fail. So I thought, why not try the SSD drive? And I found out for $100 per terabyte, I could back it up that way. So that's what I did.
I think.
I'm going to show you another picture of this. This gives you a better idea of the size of that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, it's tiny. I mean, but it packs a wallop. So.
Yeah,
Now,
I
Grant,
may
did
go
you
ahead
say
and do
that,
that.
Grant, did you say that the drives that you got, the new ones, are SSDs, or are those still spinning hard drives?
No, they're SSDs. They're just exactly like the picture that Glenn just, but except they're 1 terabyte, not 3 terabytes. And they cost $100, not $250.
I think that they come, God, I don't remember now, but I think you can get them in 1, 2, and I know they go bigger now, but I can't see it. I'm looking at the Amazon page here where I bought it, and I don't remember, but I know there was a bigger size. I just felt like I didn't need to, go any bigger than that. So
Yeah, I didn't need to go any bigger either.
Well, on a slightly related topic, I have a toy that I'd like to share with people. And I'm in the basement where I am now. At this time of year, it's fine, but in the wintertime, it gets too cold. And I have to move my operations up into the small bedroom where my wife has her desk and her computer stuff and other things. So we have to share. And in order for me to connect all the devices that I have, I needed to have a dock. And I found this. Again, I'm always concerned about the focus on this darn thing. This is the CalDigit Soho dock. That's the box. And this is the device. And
hold it back a little from the camera. I think it helps. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. If you get any closer, it's all fuzzy.
it's out of focus. Okay, so this is about maybe 2.5 by 3.5 and maybe three quarters of an inch thick. And it's got USB-C and A. It's got two USBs, SD card slots, the mini and the mini and the micro. And it's got pass-through charging. So what I can do is I can plug the computer into this. I can take the connection for that I power the computer on. I can plug it into this, and from this out to the computer, and then I get the other devices. I have at least one USB-A device that I have to connect to, so that gives me that. It gives me HDMI 2 at 4K 60 speed, DisplayPort 1.4 also at 4K 60, and all of the USB-C and USB-A are running at 10 gigabits per second, which is twice as high as what most of the ones run that you get elsewhere at the store. It does come with a USB-C certified 10 gigabit per second cable. And I think I ended up having to get this online because they didn't have it at Micro Center, and I didn't even look at Best Buy. I want to say it was around 150 maybe. So that's what I will, and I just carry the thing around with me in my little portable pouch for whenever I might need the thing. So that comes in very handy indeed. Doesn't have nearly as many ports as some of the larger ones, but some of those big ones can run you up above $350, $400. If you have a number of devices that you need to connect, it's worth the price. But I didn't have this, had just what I needed. And with this, with a compact size and everything, because I don't have a lot of room on that desk, this is working out quite well indeed. So that's the Soho 4K 60 dock from CalDigit. CalDigit's a company that Leo Laporte on MacBreak Weekly recommends highly. So I took Leo's advice and went ahead and pulled the trigger on the thing, and I'm glad I did. It works just fine.
Okay, everybody, let's move on. My suggestion would be, since our guest isn't here yet, Glenn, you have goodies tonight?
Yes, I do. Although as I was putting my goodies together the other day, I'm thinking, once I start putting this in a presentation form, it always takes me longer than I think it's going to take. And then I'm thinking, well, school's starting and coaching starting, so we'll see if I can continue to do that or I have to simplify next month. So let me go ahead and pull this up here. Wait a minute. Give me a second here. I always forget that I can't do on Zoom. I can't quite do the same thing that I do normally. So I see. I don't think there's a way I can put that in presentation mode. Anybody know? I can't remember how I've done that before, though.
Is that Keynote?
No, it's PowerPoint. But once I'm in Zoom, if I want to put it in full, if I want to go to a slideshow, it doesn't let me. I know I've done it before. For some reason, I'm just blanking on it. Let's try it now.
Click on play.
Okay,
All right, we good now? I just couldn't remember the order, and then sometimes won't let me do stuff. So, all right. So anyway, here we go. My goodies for August. And since I've never seemed to find a name for this, I think Glenn's Goodies is here to stay for all time. So, all right. So the first thing I want to share with you guys, I don't know if any of you ever use signatures on PDFs, but I used to find it a real pain in the butt. You get a PDF document and you had to attach a signature to it. And in the old days, we'd just be printing it out. And, now it's so much easier to deal with stuff. And so you can easily add a signature in preview, and you can also store these. So I just made a quick little video here I'm going to share with you guys on this. A signature on a PDF. There is a way you can do this in preview. You can create and save a signature to use on any document. So to do this, I just go into preview, I open up a document, and then I go over here to the markup toolbar. You can see I've already got it open. So I just click that and it opens the markup toolbar. The markup toolbar allows you to do all kinds of different editing of your document. Go over here to the sign icon and you click this. Now you can see when I open it, I've got 2 signatures saved for myself and my wife that I can use on any PDF documents whenever we need it. To use it, I just click on it and it automatically sticks it in my document. And this is editable, so I can move it around. You can see I've got little handles that I can resize it or whatever, and I can delete it. So whenever I have a PDF to sign, I just put that in there and then I save the PDF and it's got my signature in it. Now to create a signature, you just go down here to create signature and you will see it's set on my trackpad. Now, I find it very hard to work on a trackpad to create a signature, but you can do it. So you just do click here to begin, and now it's ready for me to write. And I can just scribble whatever there, and that can serve as a signature, and I hit return, and now it's got it. I can put a description if I want, and if I like it, I can use it. I can hit clear and start again if I want, and when I'm ready, I just hit done. And you will see it's now in my signature menu. Now, these 2 here were done much more nicely because they were done on a piece of paper. And then I just used an image of those, took a picture of my phone and brought them in so they were nice looking. So if I don't like this, I can use this just like I did before, or I can click the X to get rid of it so I don't keep it in my menu. Maybe you just want to use it once and not keep it. You can do that. Now, I can also create signatures 2 other ways. I can use the camera. If I click the camera on, I can just hold up a piece of paper with my signature and it'll take a picture of it. Or I can click iPhone or iPad. And if I do that, you just click your device and then you won't be able to see this on camera, so I'm not going to demonstrate it, but I would click this and a little signature pad would come up on my phone or on my iPad, and I could do the signature there. And then it would put it up here just as if I did it on my trackpad. So there you go. You now have a signature in preview that you can use to put in PDFs wherever you need it. All right. So there you go. If you need to use signatures on PDFs, you can. You could also store a signature, by the way, on your computer. That's what I did for a long time. Those signatures that I had in there were just they were just JPEGs, and then I would just bring them in and use them that way. So, but this is real handy to have them in there that you've imported in, and they're right there to click on and use. So, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like I need to put a signature on a PDF every, couple months or something for whatever. And that way I'm not having to print out crap. I can do it right there electronically and just, email it back to where it needs to go, whether it's a medical visit kind of thing, or it's some form I got to do at my job or whatever it is. a
You
signature.
just open the PDF viewer. Can you put your signature in from there?
If I open up, I don't believe so. I would have to get out of here to try that. I think you have to have a document open because you've got to bring up the markup toolbar, which I showed you right along there. So I believe you have to have a document open, but once you save it in there, that menu of signatures will come up in every document you open. Does that make sense, Alan? All right, my next thing is two quick ways to generate random numbers on your Mac. If for whatever reason you need to generate a random number, I know I sometimes will do this, like when I've got activities I use in class and we just need to do a random number. So one easy one is with your calculator app that just comes with your Mac. You pull up your calculator app and go to View, and you choose the scientific calculator view. And so that's what it looks like. And then you just want to press the rand button down there on the bottom, and it'll generate a random number between 0 and 1. So if you hit it, you might get something like that. That's what I got. And so, you know, you could use this, just change your decimal. If I need a number 1 to 10, there it is, 8. Or if I really want to be a stickler and round up, I can. You know, if I need 1 to 100, that could be 85 or whatever. So that's one quick way to do it. Another quick way is just to use Siri and have Siri do a random number, generate a random number.
The answer is 60.
Siri, generate a random number between 1 and 10.
It's 10.
So you can ask Siri to generate a random number between, you know, I could do 1 and 7 or 50 and 80, whatever it is. And so Siri will do that. So if you ever need a random number generated for whatever reason, there you go. You got a couple methods. All right. So if you have one of the newer Macs with the M1 chip or now M2 chips, you can actually run your iOS apps on your Mac. And you can do it in Monterey. I don't think you can do it on previous systems to that, but I could be wrong. I was not able to find evidence of being able to do that. So, you know, I've tried this and it does work. So how you do this is you would go to the App Store on your Mac and make sure you're signed in. You click on your name that comes up on the bottom left of the screen, so it takes you into your account. And on that screen, click on iPhone and iPad apps, so you're not looking at your Mac apps because you're doing this through your Mac. Then you have to select an app that you have already purchased for your iPhone or iPad. So if you haven't done that, you first need to go on your iPhone or iPad and purchase that, and then you can go back and do this. So then you want to click on the little download icon. There's a little iCloud icon. Click on that, and it'll download that app to your Mac, and it'll be installed in the Mac's application folder. Once you open that app, once it's installed, it will open a window on your screen. And so it'll be like a windowed thing. I mean, if I was doing it on my iPad, it might take up my entire iPad, but on my Mac, it would just be a window there. Now, there is a caveat. Each developer, they have the ability to opt in or out of it being able to run on Mac. So not every app is going to run on these Macs. So, you know, it could be hit or miss depending on what you want to use. The other thing I'm going to tell you is if you're trying to play a game, because I've tried that, the controls are not made for Macs. And I have an example here. So I've got F1 Mobile on my iPad. Now, when I'm doing it on my iPad, I'm just tilting my iPad left and right, and I'm steering like I would a steering wheel. But on the Mac, I can't just take my Mac and do this. It doesn't respond to tilting the Mac one way or the other. So
It should be fun to try though, Glenn.
But it's very awkward because I was using the arrow buttons, and then I had another key for like braking, and I'm like, holy cow, that was like really tedious. So give it a try if you've got one of the newer Macs, but I'm not going to guarantee how well your controls are going to work on stuff. So, but you can see here from the picture, it looks just like it would say on your iPad, but it's just in a windowed mode. So you can actually play or you play games, use apps that you like on your iPad, you can, if you've got one of the newer Macs, you can use it there.
You can
So
put your favorite weather app on your Mac.
I could, but I don't need to because my favorite weather apps that are on my iPad, I also use on my Mac. So
Yeah.
So I don't need to do it on that one, Alan, but yeah, that's it. So it is, if you don't have something that's the equivalent, it's possible that app could run on your Mac. So kind of a cool thing. And I don't know how many people actually know that. So I thought I would mention it.
Yeah, cool.
John mentioned something before. And when you mentioned it, John, I was like, oh, well, that's in my goodies. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but I couldn't remember. But there is an app that if you're an Apple person, have a lot of devices, it's a great app. It's Mac Tracker. And you can run this on your Mac. You can run it on iOS devices. It's made for both. And it is a great database of all Apple products. So, you can kind of see from the pictures I have here when you open it, like I pulled up there or you see the picture on the left-hand side there, it's showing a MacBook Pro 14-inch from 2021, and it'll go through and give you all your specs. And John mentioned that before when he was talking about selling his iMac, that he was going to get all the specs off of here. You can see on the right picture, it's showing you an iPhone 13 Pro. And so you can really go through, all your apps and you can go through the history. It'll take you all the way back. Like I was trying to I have a lot of old Apple devices, and I was sort of trying to keep a little database, a list of what I've gotten. So I went back in some of the older ones and when were they purchased and what, are some of the specs. Especially I went and sold off a couple of my older MacBooks a couple of years ago. And so this is handy. So I find this to be the best reference tool out there for Apple devices, and it'll do Macs, iPads, iPhones, watches, even system software you can look up. So it is a great, great app. And like I said, it runs on the Mac, it runs on iOS, so you can get it wherever you want it. So highly recommend Mac Tracker. I've been using this for a number of years, and I think it does a great job.
It also gets updated quite frequently.
You're right. They're always updating that thing. All right. So here's the next thing. I found this a couple months ago and I thought it was kind of funny. So for those of you who like to use shortcuts but can never remember what they are, here you go. I've actually found a number of different things like this, but this one was on Amazon. I've got the link down there. It was like $5 and it's just a vinyl sticker, so it doesn't leave a sticky residue, hopefully, on your Mac. And you can put it there and it might be a nice little handy reference tool right there by your keyboard. If you're somebody who likes to use keyboard commands but can never remember all of them, because we're not all like Alan, who has a database in his head of like 10,000 Mac keyboard
On my head.
discovered. So anyway, I thought that was handy for somebody who might want it. So, I've seen a bunch of different ones being sold out there that are like this.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So going back to Siri a little here, I thought I'd have a little fun with Siri with you guys. So there are a million cool and useful things you can do in Siri. And I just kind of picked some out, and I thought I'd share some of these with you. So the first thing is you can find any Apple device of yours. You just ask Siri to find it and it'll ping it. So like I was testing this out last week, and I had to find my watch. My watch is making a pinging, or my phone, and then I started messing with my wife and started pinging her devices, and she couldn't figure out what was going on, and like she's in the other room. So if nothing else, it was just worth it just to mess with my wife a little bit, who has been having rotten luck with her devices, by the way. I was telling the officers we were on vacation. We get to Costa Rica, and later that day, her Apple Watch just completely quit working. I could do nothing to revive the thing. She had to buy a new one. We traveled to Minneapolis. I guess this was about 3 years ago. We get off the plane and her iPhone had completely done. I took it to the store, couldn't revive it. So I was like, I don't know what it is with her and travel and her devices. They just die on us. But so anyway, if you're somebody who tends to misplace things, what in the heck did I do with my phone? I'm sitting here, ask Siri to ping it, and hopefully you'll be able to find it that way. All right, second thing, if you can't figure out a password, and I'm sure we've all been there on that one that bedevils us at times, you can ask Siri for a password to a specific site. So I give you the example, what's my Facebook password? So if you're using your iPhone, it'll authenticate it with your face or Touch ID, and it'll open your passwords to show you what it is for that site. So you can have Siri help you figure out your passwords if you need to. The third thing, remembering where you parked. So, if you're going and parking and you're at like a game or a concert or, where there's a million cars, sometimes I find that my iPhone will automatically remember. It'll track it. It'll tell me. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, there seems to be no rhyme or reason of how it does that. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. Now, if you've got CarPlay in your phone, it'll integrate with that, and that should make it more seamless. But if it doesn't work for you, you can always do this. Just tell Siri to try a command like remember where I parked. And so Siri will mark the map with where you parked your car. So then when you come out and you want to figure out where you parked, just say, Siri, show me where my car's parked, and it'll pull up a map and show you. From what I was reading about this function, that it can do it within like 10 meters of where your car is actually sitting. So could be a handy tool, or maybe you're going to a concert, it's a big lot, it's nighttime, you're coming out, I don't know. I could see where that might be a handy tool. So just kind of interesting. You can ask Siri to change the settings on your device. So instead of digging into your settings menu, like if I'm on my iPhone, I can ask it to turn on Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or turn something off, or turn on the flashlight, or adjust the brightness or volume, whatever. For the features though, on things like brightness or volume or other things where it's sort of a sliding kind of scale, you can give it a specific direction. Like I can say, change the volume to 80%, but you can also do it proportionally and just say like, make it quieter or make it louder, and Siri will do those things for you.
Too bad it doesn't have that doesn't work for people, right?
Yeah. Well, you do have mute capability there, Ron. So you're all powerful, right? But boy, would I like that in the classroom,
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. You can have Siri give you a nickname. You can tell Siri to call you by a nickname if you want. It just adds it to your contact card. I should have actually done a video for this, but let's say you want Siri to call you, I don't know, the big guy or whatever. I don't know. It'll do it. It'll put it on your contact card. And I know I've done that before, where I've made a call, like in my contacts, I have, if I say, Siri, call my father-in-law or call my mother-in-law, it knows who to call because I've told Siri to give them those, familial relations. So it does that, or it can use nicknames also. All right. Decision making. This is kind of fun to me. You can ask Siri to help you with decisions by randomly giving you an answer. You can ask Siri to flip a coin or roll a dice. You can even ask for a roll of like gaming dice, like roll a die 20. If you tell Siri to roll 2 dice, it can give some funny responses. The only thing I'm bummed out about is it used to do the magic 8-ball for you, and I can't get it to work anymore. And I used to enjoy using the old 8-ball. If you guys remember those from, was that
I
the
remember
70s,
those way too well.
So I'll give you an example here.
Rolling. It's 6 and 2.
Siri, roll the bones.
It's 5 and 3.
Siri, roll 2 dice.
Rolling. 6 and 6. Boxcars.
Ooh.
Siri, roll 2 dice.
Rolling. 2 and 2. Little Joe from Kokomo.
Your Siri has a British accent.
Nice.
It's interesting.
Rolling. It's 6 and 6. Better known as a hobo's delight on a cold, rainy night.
Siri, roll 2 dice.
Rolling. 5 and 5. A pair of puppy paws.
Oh.
Siri, roll 2 dice. This is my favorite one.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes. They came up 2 and 3.
So, you know, I also always do like Siri's sense of humor. By the way, Ron, it's an Australian accent.
Australian.
Yeah. On all of my devices, I've always had Siri with accents and stuff. I never just do the Americanized version. All right. You can also have Siri name that tune, by the way. So if a song's playing, you can ask Siri to name the tune, and it's just using the Shazam technology. I still have Shazam as an app on my iPhone because I had Shazam before Apple bought the technology, but now you can just have Siri do it. I'll give you a little demo. Siri, name that tune. So there you go. And I found it to work really well. I don't know if any of you use the Shazam app or have used that in the past, but it's pretty accurate app to find what music. And I've even used it where I've been in, you know, a store and there's a lot of ambient noise and it would still recognize the song for me. And so since Apple has that technology, they've integrated it with Siri. And now, you know, if something's playing, you can just ask Siri to identify it for you. And then I thought I'd share this with you. It's a bit humorous.
You cannot imagine the answers I'm getting from Siri. I am your father. What is 0 divided by 0?
How many cookies dare each person have? 0. And Cookie Monster is bad that there are no cookies. And your friends are sad that they don't fit. Oh, wow. This escalated.
That's dark. Knock, knock. Who's there?
Elephants.
Elephants who?
Elephants, Joe. Do bop bar rebop.
Ooh.
That's pretty bad.
Hey Siri, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Please refer to the woodchuck to the starting point. How about a good sound quiz?
Go for it.
That name is our library.
So there you go. A little Siri humor for you. I know the 0 divided by 0. My wife, who's a math teacher, was telling me like that was one of her kids' favorite stuff in their math class. So little Siri humor for you there. And so there you go. This month's Glenn's goodies for you.
Okay, Glenn, I see our guest speaker has arrived.
Yes. Hi there, Jesse. Glad to have you with us. And
hello, everyone.
I think that was my fault for, you know, I was like, oh, I asked you if we're on Central Standard Time and then didn't think about that we jump forward with our time here in the US. So
yeah, no, that's okay. You know what? This happens all the time because I live in Saskatchewan, north of the border there, and dead center in Canada. And we don't do any daylight savings. So we stay the same time all the time. And yeah, exactly. When we communicated and you said Central Standard Time, I was like, perfect. Same time as me. Never even thought about daylight savings because I never think about it. So no worries.
Well, and I didn't either. And it's funny, I get on it and Ron said to me, hey, you know, did you ask him about that? Because we could be on a different time, actually, even though we're both Central Standard. I'm like, oh, crap. Well, by then it was like 7 or 6:45. So I shot an email and I was hoping you'd look at that. But then we said, well, we'll just go through some other stuff. And then when he gets on, he can join us. We figured that was it. And by the way, I think if you ask half the people here, because we've had the conversation, a lot of people here in the US say that we wish we could get rid of our time change and just have one time because it drives people crazy.
Yes. You know, I've heard that there's some group that's trying to get together to do that worldwide.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I can't remember where I had heard that from. It was a few weeks ago. My wife and I were talking about it. Some group is trying to line that up and put it together. Anyway, hopefully everyone just gets to stop with daylight savings. So,
well, I've always said I can imagine if you lived right on a time zone line somewhere, and like you lived in one time zone and you worked in another time zone and then you had time zone changes during the year, I'm like, man, that would be awful. So
It'd be horrible. Half the year you'd be late for work. The other half the year you'd be early. It would be terrible.
well, I'm a high school teacher, Jesse, so I think my students would love the excuses they could use with that. So
Fair enough. Fair enough.
well, anyway, everyone, this is Jesse Bauer. And so, you know, if you remember last month, I was doing a presentation on how I hook up my guitars and my keyboard to my Mac and some of the software I use. And by the way, before I go on, I do want to apologize to everybody because I went back and rewatched the video and, you know, just some of the audio problems that I had. And I even had rehearsed some of that with my wife beforehand. And then, you know, you just get into it and I kind of forget which inputs I want to be on or what I want to switch. And I was using different devices. And so it didn't quite come across as good as I would have liked. So I apologize for those technical difficulties last month that, you know, when you guys were watching. So this is sort of a follow-on that Jesse's going to be doing tonight to build on some of the stuff I did. So I sort of stayed more with the hardware end of things and some of the software that you use. And he's going to more specifically pick up and talk about GarageBand and show how you can actually put together songs using GarageBand with your instruments. So as Jesse's already said, he lives in Saskatoon, correct, Jesse?
That's right.
And so, and Jesse works, and I'll let him tell a little bit more about himself in a minute, works in the communication field. He's also got a home recording studio called Dark Roast Recording. And so he's worked with bands and done his own playing over the years. And, you know, he's got a studio where he does recording and engineering and mixing for people. And I know you said that you're working with a local band up there called Driveway Legends right now. And I think you also said you're working on a full length recording that you're working on as well. And I know I've listened to a few of your things. I just came across Jesse by chance a couple months ago when I was sort of planning, you know, to present to you all. And I was doing a little research and I came across his videos and was really impressed with how he did some stuff. And so I had, it took us a little while to hook up. And so anyway, he's here tonight to show us some of this. And so Jesse, I'm going to turn it over to you there and let you kind of further introduce yourself. And I also asked him if he would, before he kind of delves into that, would talk a little bit about sort of the Apple products and stuff that he's using and in that industry in general.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Glenn, for that. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. And yeah, I mean, Google does wonderful things when someone types in a search for how to work an iRig. So, yeah. And here we are. Thanks, Google, for that one. No offense to Apple on that one, but yes. So, you know, music has always been a big part of my life. Like Glenn mentioned, I've played in some bands before. I think I started really getting into music when I was probably 15, 16. Glenn's probably, as he said, he's a high school teacher, so he's probably seeing some students of his that are taking a liking to music more than others. And yeah, I just I thought that I would really get a little more into what music's all about. I started playing tuba in high school, of all instruments. Grade 9, never touched an instrument before in my life, and my teacher had all the brass laid out on the ground for everyone to pick up and sample, and I jokingly picked up the tuba and made a noise in it, and he said, "You're my tuba player," and that was that. So for 4 years I played tuba, but it didn't come with as much hassle as you might think it would, because I learned how to read bass clef sheet music in doing that. And when I started reading bass clef, well, that's a natural progression into other low octave instruments such as bass guitar. And so I started playing bass guitar probably at grade 11, and I went into junior stage band in high school and progressed into playing electric guitar after high school, and then drums, and yada, yada, yada. Here we are a whole bunch of years later. It's 2022, and here I am talking to you all. So enough of an introduction there. So what I want to show you today if it's all right with you, is I'd like it to be a little bit interactive. So I don't know who's got musical background in this group other than maybe Glenn, and just from us talking to each other, he's, you know, I saw the last Zoom call you guys had last month. He played some instruments and did some music, and he sent me the files and I listened to them. So who else has got any interest in playing music or performing music? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Steve, Alan, Terry, and Tammy.
It's our older brother, Gary. He's connected. I don't know if his microphone works.
Okay.
But he likes to, he has a DJ deck. So it looks like 2 record players.
Yeah.
But now you scratch or whatever and mix
Yeah.
together MP3 files.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a very popular way of making music right now, using samples and loops. And I know that Glenn touched on that as well, using a product called Garageband. So just to take 2 steps back here before we get into using Garageband, it is an Apple product, and Apple products have always been centered around giving creative people an outlet to get their ideas out to the world, whether it be photos, whether it be just fonts. You know, that was one of the biggest thing that Steve Jobs wanted when they created the Mac, was a large selection of unique fonts. And at that time, people were blown away at what they could do just in typing a document into a computer, right? And making it look nice. So Steve Jobs and Apple are really renowned for putting all of this extra R&D effort into finding ways to make things not only be productive, but also have some appeal to it, some artistic appeal. And now we're zeroing around back to making music. Apple really has been at the forefront of making sure that artists have an outlet to get their music out to the world. And that started a long time ago with the iPod. You know, that was really the main focus of an iPod, was to just get music in people's hands without having to open up a record, maybe, or having a turntable or a stereo or any of those things. They just wanted to get as much music into people's hands as humanly possible in a short amount of time. And here we are many years later. Most people have an iPhone or an iPad. You know, I've got AirPods that I love using all the time when I'm not in my studio working. So, like I said, Apple has really been at the forefront of trying to help artists and creative people get their message or their creations out to the world. And so here we are with GarageBand. GarageBand is a simplified DAW, is what it's called. A DAW is a digital audio workstation. And so that's a term, DAW, that's thrown around in the industry quite a bit now because of the low cost that's attached to it and the universal application it has for not only people like us that maybe are interested in making music at home, but also people who are working in pro production studio level applications. So they have a product called Logic Pro. Some of you may have heard of that. What Logic Pro is their professional DAW, which is basically the next step up from GarageBand. Now, I'm probably upsetting some of you by the way I say garage. I am Canadian. I apologize for that. I've read a couple of comments on my YouTube channel where somebody says, this guy's saying garage. Yes, that's the way I pronounce it. I apologize. We'll get through this, I promise you.
No problems.
Jesse, no apologies necessary. You are what you are. Be proud of it.
I am proud. I that's why I say it jokingly, because I know it aggravates some US viewers of my YouTube channel. So I will stick to the way that I say it, and I hope that you can bear with me. So anyway, Logic Pro is the pro level of GarageBand, basically. It's just got more features. And more pro features that you might find in a studio setting, where pro mixers and engineers are able to record monstrous size bands and mix that down into a song, or mix it down into a composition for film or TV or commercial, or video games even. So GarageBand is just a condensed, easy to use version and a way to kind of open the door to familiarize yourself with producing music digitally. And they call it in the box, ITB. What they mean by in the box is you're not using analog gear, such as giant 96 channel mixing consoles that you might see at Abbey Road Studio in the UK, big giant stacks of analog amplifiers and compressors and EQs and all kinds of things. All of this is in the box inside of GarageBand. So that is where we're going to start. And like I said, I was curious who is musical, because I'm going to ask for a couple of people's help here. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. And yes, there we go. Okay,
I
so
have a
hopefully,
question.
yes, absolutely.
Are you familiar with Ableton Live?
I'm familiar with it. I wouldn't say that I could open it up and start making a song right away.
Do you have any opinions about it?
No, I don't have any opinions about it. I know that it's extremely popular with DJs. As Tammy mentioned, you have is it your brother, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so your
older
brother
uses a DJ deck.
Okay. Yeah, so Ableton is very popular in the pop, EDM, dance music, techno kind of realm, and it's because of the instruments and synthesizer tools that they have built into the program. And not to say that other DAWs such as GarageBand or Logic or Pro Tools, you may have heard, they're kind of the front runner of the digital audio workstation world. Not to say that any of those don't have those instruments built in as well, but Ableton has a bit more of a unique spin on how to produce music digitally than other DAWs might be. And it's typically in the layout. Ableton uses things, I can't remember the term they use, to be honest with you, but it says something, it's something to do with the way that it loops music and it sequences music. And so you're able to control small sections of music and trigger them to start playing and stop playing when you want in a much easier way than other DAW applications may allow you to do that. And so for performers, such as DJs, or performers that are maybe just a one or a two-piece band or performer, that's the DAW of choice for them, because they can control many more instruments at one time than you might be able to do in another application. Now, GarageBand and Logic actually do have a way to do that, but it's different than the way Ableton does. And so, like I said, I don't really have an opinion on it because I haven't really used it. That's not the kind of music that I make, and I'm not that kind of performer. I just know where it's been popular and kind of what the main feature is or main difference would be with what we might be seeing today, if that helps you at all. So with that said, we'll just jump into GarageBand here. So if you can all see my screen here, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Now here's going to be the test. I'm going to ask if you can hear the music that's playing now. We'll see if this works. As soon as I get rid of this video panel here. There we go. Okay. Let me know if you hear this.
No.
No.
Not hearing it.
Okay. Okay, so here is where things are. This is what Glenn was running into an issue with the last week. It's pretty tricky when it comes to this thing, because you have to figure out how to get the audio from your desktop to play out.
Well, that's where I was using, I had my iPad and my computer so that I
Right.
could do Zoom on one and have me logged on and using it on the other. So
Right, right. Okay, so give me a second here. I had this working before. I just gotta make sure that I get it back to the way it was. Let's try that.
No,
No.
still no sound.
Still no sound? All right,
No.
1 second here.
Let's
You're not,
see.
but you're all, you, he's got the same problems, you know.
Same problems, man. It's
it's working with Zoom. Like, if it were just, if I
yeah,
were using a different way to do this, it'd be easy. But Zoom, since Zoom is taking your microphone and your camera, then it's like you sort of have to work around that.
yeah, that's exactly it. Okay, I'm gonna try this. You can still hear me.
Yes.
Then maybe swap off.
Yeah, there's a setting in here to enable original sound, and that's usually what I found is the issue when trying to stream audio from a DAW. All right, let's see if this works. Okay. So, yeah. So, okay. So keep everything the same, basically, is I think the rule of thumb that I figured out before, and I obviously forgot to do this time. Okay.
Jesse,
Yep.
I feel your pain because I think sometimes you get started presenting, and then you're like, what am I gonna do here? And you get a little flustered trying to remember everything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's it can be painful for sure. Okay, so now that you can hear that, that's a good thing. So here is just something I whipped up a couple days ago. I'm not going to ask your opinion because we all have different musical tastes, and I don't think very highly of what I did here. So I'm just going to let it rip for a few bars, and you can see what I did in about, I think this was about 20 minutes. I just slapped this together. So. Okay, that's enough of that. So it sounds like a big mess right now because like I said, I didn't focus too much on the actual technicalities of the songwriting here. But just to show you, it took about 20 minutes for me to do this, and I've got a drum loop in there, bass guitar, electric guitar, some synthesizer, etc., etc. There are many ways to get audio into GarageBand. So I'm going to start with a blank template here. I'll just go new. Sure, I'll save that. Okay, I'll start with an empty project. This is the default screen that you're going to get if you can still see this.
Yes.
You'll have to continuously tell me that you can see this because I'm not sure what you can see. So it'll start off this way with an empty project. And you can import projects, by the way, if you happen to use GarageBand on your iPad or your iPhone. So I like to use GarageBand on my iPad because I have a little more real estate on here than what I might have on my iPhone. And I just find it much easier to use on an iPad, especially when you're going to use some of the built-in instruments like the drum kit, for example. It's a lot harder to hit drums on a tiny iPhone screen, and it's a lot easier to use a bigger iPad screen to do that. So you can see here, this is my iPad. GarageBand is on here. And in your settings, your iCloud settings of whichever iOS device you may be using, you can tell it to back up your GarageBand projects to your iCloud. And so then that way, if you have a Mac at home that you want to open your song from your device, you can easily do that. And you can search your iCloud. If you go into Open Existing Project and you scroll down to iCloud Drive, you can see GarageBand for iOS is in that area. So you could easily open that and then pick out whatever project you made on your iPad or iPhone and open it up within the Mac. Now I'm just going to cancel that because we're going to start a new project. The Mac version of GarageBand is a little different than the iOS version. Now they both offer the same tools, the same sounds, the same loops, and I know there was discussion last month about loops and royalty-free music. All of the loops and sounds that are included in GarageBand are free to use for however you want to use them. Bear in mind, if you're trying to create new music and you're using the same loops and sounds that 2 million other people in the world are also sampling, you may run into an issue there because if they release the music and put it up on a copyright for their band and it includes specific loops that they used in iOS, then yes, in that type of situation, you would have a royalty claim. Even though they got the loop from Apple to begin with, they've now included that into a composition that they have created. And so they would be the holder of that song, but not that specific loop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the waters are pretty muddy when it comes there, but keep it simple. All of the loops that are in Apple GarageBand and Logic Pro are free for you to use however you want to use them and free for you to release in your music. Okay. You're not going to get a copyright strike unless your whole song is that one loop, which has also been included in another artist's rendition of whatever song they made. If you use the loop and you compose a different song around it, and that loop just happens to be a small portion of that song, that's a completely different story. So those are the things about royalties that we need to be a little bit aware of when we're making music. You can't basically outright copy someone else's composition, even though you may be using the same loops and samples. So, and that's for release, by the way. That's not necessarily for DJs, perhaps, that may be playing live. Because a DJ is playing other people's music almost all the time, so that doesn't count for them. They're not creating something new from someone else's piece of music. They're just playing the music, and it benefits the artist that they do that because their music has another way to get out to the people and hear. So back to GarageBand. So we're going to click on Empty Project here. Click on Choose, and we get a blank slate. And we have a choose a track type. Okay, so right now we have a choice. How I typically start a song off is by either an idea that I already have in my head, which right now I don't. And if I don't have an idea, I'm going to start with a drum loop and see if it inspires me to do something. So in this case, we're going to grab a drummer. Just click on that and then click Create. And it just dropped me 8 bars right in here without even thinking about it. Now here's where we can specify what we want to do. So here's where I'm going to ask for your participation. If somebody could give me a tempo. Now a tempo is just the beats per minute. So it could be 120, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or it could be faster, 140, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So do we want something fast or do we want something slower?
660.
60. Half of 120. Perfect. Because that makes it real easy. So GarageBand starts us off with a BPM of 80. So to change that, you can double click in that space at the top here and just type in 120 over top of it, or in this case, 60. Okay. So now our tempo is 60 beats per minute, which is 120 half beats a minute. Okay, so this is where things get fun when you can start making music, because you can keep one tempo, but depending on if you're playing whole notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, your beat can change whichever area of the song you need it to. So it says that it's selected a key C major. We're going to change that. I'm going to use, what guitars do I have here? I've got those. Okay. You know what? I'll go to an E minor. We'll just change that. The reason I'm changing that is because when I start selecting in other instruments, such as the built-in keyboards or synthesizer patches that are here, or some of the loops perhaps, I want that to follow what I've set my song map to be. And what I mean by that is if we click on the loop section up in the top right corner here, okay, here's all of our loops. Over on this side, if I can expand that, there we go. Okay, so you can see all of the different loops that are baked in here. You can choose the instrument. Okay, so let's say we're trying to find a drum sample that we might want to use. I know that they dropped a drummer in here for us already, but maybe we want something else. Simply pick kits or all drums. Okay, you can just click on that, and this is just going to narrow things down for you. Okay, so I'm going to go down, oh, I don't know, let's see, 60 shuffle, 80s pop. I'm just looking for anything here. Whole bunch of drum machine stuff. Let's see what that sounds like. Nope, that's not what I'm after. You all heard that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Just want to make sure something didn't change on me here. Okay. Big hair drum set, man. I'm a fan of the 80s hair metal, so let's see what that sounds like. Okay, we're getting there. Let's see what the drummer dropped in here for us. Just click play. Sounds slow because we're at 60 beats a minute, right? Okay, so here's where I want to get the example. This big hair drum set 09 loop that I chose over here, okay, that the loop might play at a different BPM, but it should follow the tempo that we've told our track to be at, which is 60. So if I grab that drum and just drag it over here, right into any open area, it's going to put it right at the beginning. I'm going to mute our other drummer just by hitting this mute button right there on the track. So the only thing I should hear now is this headbanger kit. I know we got a bunch of headbangers in the group here, so this will be interesting. Okay, so you see how the tempo changed there? When I played it over here, I think it's at 120 over here. I moved it into our song and it dropped down to 60. Okay. So let's use that. Why not? Let's pick the loop instead of this drum kit that we got here. But I will say before I get rid of the drummer, there's ways that you can change what they did here as well. And you do that down below here. It's giving us all of the settings for that particular drummer. Okay, so if I click here on the track so it's highlighted, and I click on this library icon up in the top left corner, that's going to open up all of the settings for each of the tracks. As you can see, when I click on them, it shows me a bunch of different settings. So I click on the drummer, and Anders is the drummer that Garageband selected for me, and he's primarily a hard rock drummer. So I can change that. Let's say I want to make a pop song. I can just select Kyle, who apparently is a pop rock drummer. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice the drum kit changed, which means it's using a different set of sounds for the drums, and it's going to use a different pattern. and you can alter the pattern by moving this around in the bottom. And it's got different quadrants here, from simple to complex, from soft to loud. So I'm just going to play that drummer, and I'm going to move this around a little bit, and you can kind of get an idea what's happening with the drum kit. Okay, so I'll mute this loop and I'll re-enable the sound on this, and let's have a listen. So right now it's simple and sort of loud, not too loud. Okay, so I moved it over to complex. It's added a few hits, right? It's added a couple of snare hits. Now I can further do that, make differences here by adjusting the fills area, okay? And if I want to add some swing to it, make it maybe a little more of a human kind of a feel, okay? So double click on the stop and it'll put my playhead right back to the beginning automatically. I'll hit play again. Okay, it's a little hard to hear what the swing is there and what the element is. So let's turn our metronome on, and that's going to help us keep time. So we've got 60 beats a minute, 4/4 time signature. That's what this is here. That means it's just got 4 quarter notes per bar. Okay. And then we've got this little metronome symbol here. If I click on that, it's going to give us a clicking sound in behind so that we can keep the time. It's barely audible, but it is there. I think I can increase that sound. Hold on a second here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Now how I got to there was clicking on Garageband and then Preferences and then Metronome. There's other settings in there, but we won't worry about those right now. We're just interested in getting some sounds made. So that's the drum. That's the drummer. I don't know that he's really doing anything for me here, though, to be quite honest with you. It's a pretty somber drum hit here. He sounds like he's falling asleep. So I'm going to go back to the headbanger kit here. And if you want to get rid of this drummer, you can just right-click on it and delete track. Okay, so that's gone. So now we just have our simple 2-bar loop here. 2 bars isn't a whole lot of time. We want more of our song, right? So the easy thing to do is to just cycle over the side here and just click and hold and drag it out. And what it's going to do is it's just going to fill up as many bars as we want it to. I'm going to go to 8 bars. Okay, so now we've just taken that 2-bar loop and turned it into a full 8 bars. Very easy. Okay, so you're probably wondering what all this is at the bottom here, all of these dots all over the place. This is our MIDI editing area. Now, MIDI is the, what does it stand for? Multi-Instrument Digital Interface, I believe is what it stands for. It was basically a protocol, a language protocol that was developed about 40 years ago, and it's free for everyone to use. It's a free protocol, and all DAWs and sound devices have adopted it. And basically what it is, it just allows you to have a hardware device communicate with a software device. That's essentially all it is. But it's based around a few principles. It's based typically on an 8-octave or 88-key piano roll. Okay. Now in this case, we have a drum kit that's open. And so the drum kit has assigned all of the different drum sounds to keys on the piano. Okay, so as I click on the piano roll here, you can hear different drum sounds. Okay, you can scroll up. Okay, and so what it's done is it's taken the loop that's made here and it's just expanded it. So if we want to make any changes to this drum loop, for example, we can do that in this editor here. Okay, so what's this? That sounds like a floor tom to me. Maybe it's got too many hits. You can double click on them or highlight them and hit delete. And now it's taken some of those hits out. So it's changed a little bit. This is a way that you can change things. So let's just stick with the 8 bars of drums that we have right now. Sorry, I'm getting parched. It's just Diet Pepsi. So let's get another instrument in here. Let's start baking this thing together. So what I'm going to do right now is, again, I'm going to open my library. Okay, that's this area at the top here. And then we're going to add another instrument by clicking this plus symbol. Okay, so here's the plus symbol, and here's where we're going to get into the iRig. And I'm going to grab my bass guitar. And let's see if we can come up with something. Okay, now I haven't played with a band for a while, so I'm in dire need of more practice. So we'll hold all the laughter until I've left the meeting, and then I'll watch the meeting afterwards and see if you laughed at me.
Yes, I was going the same way last month.
I know. We've been doing Zoom for 2.5 years, but we're still such amateurs at it. Okay, so choose a track type. So I want to play bass guitar, so I'm going to click on audio and connect the guitar, simply. Now, right here, the input is what's important for you to get sounds from a real instrument into your DAW, in this case, Garageband. So it's got input. Now it says input 2, input 1, input 1 and 2. I don't want that. I want it to use my iRig. So I'm going to click on Garageband at the top, select my preferences again, go to Audio MIDI, and here my devices. My output is my Revelator. That's my audio interface. That's what's giving you the sound from my microphone and my computer. The input device, I need to change to iRig HD2. Okay. And I can get rid of that. So I know that it still says here Revelator, but when I click create, it'll switch to the iRig. I've done this a couple times before. And I do want to hear my instrument as I play and record. Okay, so I'll just click create. Were you able to hear that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I've got sound. I'm going to switch my camera here, if I can do that. Where'd my meeting controls go? I lost my meeting controls.
Oh, lovely.
I'll probably find it here somewhere. Oh, why did I lose those?
This was how I'm
Oh,
feeling
there we
last
go.
month. Yes.
Okay, Shift Command N is gonna let me change my camera view here. Okay, there's that angle. There we go. Okay. So you can see my iRig here, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Okay, I don't think we're getting the feedback now. Okay, good. Okay, so the iRig that you see here is got the blue light on it when it's connected to your computer properly. Okay, so that means that it's ready to give a signal. When you play the instrument, you're going to want to make sure that as you're playing the instrument, you're not getting a yellow or a red light here. Okay, that's the way the iRig works. Most other things that are similar to the iRig do the same type of situation, but there's a gain control on the side here. Okay, so you want to adjust the gain control up or down depending if you need more signal or need less signal. So in this case, we want, I believe I'm actually in the green here. I'm in the green. Okay, so I could probably go a little higher. There we go. If it blinks yellow once in a while as you're playing it hard, that's not a big deal. You just don't want it to hit the red. Red in the digital audio world is very bad. Red means that the digital signal doesn't understand how to process the ones and zeros anymore, and so it just cuts it off. It literally just deletes that information from ever coming in. And what that results in audio is a very distorted, really grainy sound. It sounds awful. So it can't be fixed either. So in the digital audio world and in GarageBand, as we're going to see tonight, we want to keep it below the red signal. So we just got a green signal on the iRig. Occasionally, if I hit it hard enough, I get a yellow signal, which is fine. Okay, so I'm going to really put my inspiration to the test here and see if I can come up with anything to go with this drum kit here. So bear with me. Here we go. Okay. Oh, by the way, sorry. I should explain a couple things here before I start. This right here says input monitoring. What that's allowing me to do is to hear my guitar back in my own ears as I play it. And so that's going to allow me to kind of hear myself play as I'm recording. And it's going to help me, I guess, have a little bit of a better performance if I can understand what I'm doing and how it might sound. So I'm going to give that a shot here. And you guys can watch me from this other camera angle if it fires up. And I'm going to hit record at the top of the screen. And it should give me a 4 count before it starts recording. Okay. I think my camera froze, but that's fine. I'll fix that after. Okay, so it looped over a couple times. What it did was it recorded 2 takes because I've got 4 bars in a loop at the top here. I did that intentionally because I wanted to give it a first go and see if I came up with anything that I could do a little bit better on the second go. So
Camera's still frozen.
it is still frozen, eh? You know what? Give me a second. I know I can fix that. I had a different camera angle lined up here, and it obviously doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Okay, I think you can see me there now. So, like I said, we've got the baseline. We've got a baseline going here. I did a 4-bar loop. We've got an 8-bar loop on our drums. So what I can do is just copy that over. And I can do that by holding Option and clicking and dragging across. And you see it's got that plus sign. I just let go and it just duplicated what I did. So now I've got 8 bars at 60 beats a minute with a bass line on it. So let's hear that. Okay. So now we just want to kind of blend it together. I typically do this before I start adding other elements to a song. So what I'll do is I'll listen to see if I can get my drums and my bass to bind together a little closer. How I do, there's no rules to how you do this. You just got to play with the fader. And what I mean by that is this volume dial on the side here. Okay. You're going to move that up and down, and that's going to give you a balance of levels between the different instruments combining into a full song. Okay. So I'm going to hit play, and I'm just going to make a few adjustments. Okay. So what I've done is basically I want my bass guitar notes to blend with the drums as best I can, and the easiest way to do that is see how they sound together. And I'm basically looking for how the kick drum sounds with the bass guitar, not so much the cymbals or the hi-hat, because that's a completely different spectrum, but the kick drum and the bass guitar are trying to stick together, right? And that's going to form our groove. That's going to form the rhythm section of this whole song or this whole arrangement. And so I've kind of got it pretty close to where I want it right now. So I'm going to add another instrument now. So I'll click on there again, click on guitar, input 1, everything else is the same, great. I'll click on create. Okay, now I still have my bass guitar connected. I don't want that. I need my other guitar. So I'm going to mute this. Grab the other guitar here quickly. I'm going to swap out my patch cable on my iRig and see what I got here. Okay, so I've got a pretty hot signal coming into my guitar, so I need to turn the gain down on my iRig. This guitar has different pickups. They're active pickups, so they're by nature a little bit louder because they've got battery power feeding them. Okay. So we've got that one. Now I'm going to pick a tone. I didn't really pick a tone with the bass guitar. I just fed it straight in. I'm going to pick a different tone for my electric guitar, and I can do that by using some of the amps on the side here. So it's got me selected by clean guitar. I'm going to go for, oh, I don't know. Let's try experimental guitar. That's a lot of reverb. I'm going to turn the amount down here so you've got some controls on the bottom side. I'm going to turn the depth down a bit because it's really echoey. Okay, turn the depth down, turn the amount down. Hall is okay. And because this is an amp, I can adjust the gain for a distorted sound. Okay, this is going to be probably some of the weirdest stuff I've ever made, but let's go for it. Okay, so we're going to put the playhead back at the beginning, and let's just see if I can put something together here. So I'm going to do that at the top. You might have noticed I increased the loop size here. I did that just by putting my cursor over top of the loop and just increased that to 8 bars. Okay, so now it's just going to loop the full 8 bars as I play along, rather than just the 4 bars that I had it on before. So I'm at the beginning. It's going to give me a 4 count at 60 beats a minute, and then I'll be able to start recording again. Here we go. Okay, so that was weird. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to create another track, and what I'm going to do now is just duplicate that guitar piece. And this is how we start building a song. We're basically just layering and layering and layering in the same key and the same beat per minute. And we're going to stack different instruments together, and I know this has taken a little while to start out with, but in about 5 minutes from now, we're going to have at least an 8-bar section of a song that you can use as the core idea of your song, and then really start to expand out on that. So it doesn't sound like a whole lot right now. This maybe could be part of Netflix Stranger Things season 5 or something. I don't know, but I don't know if you guys watch that or not. But okay, no, I haven't either. I just keep seeing advertisements for it. So, and I know it's got a big '80s theme behind it and lots of '80s music, and you know that was my my timeline of music when I fell in love with music was all 80s stuff. So okay, so I've got my track, same input, same everything else. I'm just adding another layer here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning again, and I'm going to try and remember what I recorded and try and duplicate that. Nope, made a mistake there. Okay, so easiest way to undo that is Command Z. That just gets rid of that recording we made. Or you could just click on it and hit delete on your keyboard. Let's try that again. Okay. So it's pretty close. It's not exact, but that's okay because when it's not exact, it adds variance. And that's why I wanted to double the guitars here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan the first guitar recorded out to the left side and the other guitar out way out to the right side. And I'll just give you an idea what that sounds like. So here's everything straight down the middle channel. Okay, so that's what it sounds like with everything at an even power in both speakers, or both right and left headphones, speakers, whatever you're listening on. Okay, so it's got an equal amount of energy coming out both sides. I'm going to change that. I'm going to keep, typically this is song structure 101. You want your rhythm up the middle, your low end up the middle, because that's the foundation of the song. And you want typically your higher pitched instruments to kind of fan out in the stereo field to a left and a right side. Main reason is it's just easier to identify those different instruments and different sounds when they're using a different part of the spectrum. So in this case, I'm going to pan the guitars out left and right. That's called a LCR panning method. Hard left, hard right, or straight up the center. You can do that by selecting this pan knob here and just dragging it all the way over to one side. Okay, so now I've got this guitar all the way left, this guitar all the way right, and on top of that, there are two different amps. So that's also going to provide me a little bit different of a sound coming out each side of the speaker. And this helps to build a little bit more character in the stereo field. So now let's listen to it in a stereo. Okay, so you get the idea. It sounds a lot different coming out with the guitar in the left and right side than it does everything down the middle. It's easier to hear when you're using headphones, of course, but if you're sitting close enough to your computer speakers, you'll definitely be able to make out the difference there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance the levels between my guitars. Okay, I've already balanced my drum kit and my bass guitar. Now I want to balance in the guitars, the other instruments, into the rhythm section and see how I can get that to work together. So I'm going to play again, and I'm just going to adjust the levels of my guitars, not the drums or the bass, because I've already leveled that out. Okay, so basically I just wanted to drop the volume down a little bit so that you can hear the guitar still, but you don't lose the bass guitar. Otherwise, what's the point of having the bass guitar in there at all? So now I'm going to make a third guitar track. This one is going to be my, I don't know, let's say lead guitar. It's not going to sound like Slash or anything, so again, bear with me here.
So far it sounds like we're building a little soundtrack, kind of an intense scene.
It certainly sounds intense. I don't know what's going on in my head today, but this is just what's coming out, right? You know what? It started off with the 60 BPM. That's where we started with this. So when you get a slower BPM like that, you're getting a lot more surreal kind of environment, something very slow pace, something melodic. When you've got 220 beats per minute, it's straight punk rock, and it's just, you know, all sounds possible. Just throw it straight up the middle and see how it turns out. So let's grab this other guitar. So I'm going to grab a different guitar tone here because I want this guitar to stick out more than the other two guitars that I recorded. So I'm just going to grab probably a distorted guitar. probably help if I tuned. And you can just click on each one of these and test out which is going to be the tone you want. That was loud. Souped up amp. How come drive doesn't say 11? Woo, that's why. It doesn't need an 11. I'm going to go back to the brown metal. It sounds really gross and crunchy, but bear with me here. I'll probably change the tone a little bit. Okay, so this is the amp section at the bottom, like I mentioned before. If you click on EQ right beside it, this is going to give you an EQ section just for that guitar. And if you notice over here on the side, it says track. Okay, that's because this is going to control the EQ of just this one track, not any of the other ones. If I click on master, this is going to control the EQ setting of the entire song. That's everything, all the channels that are in here, everything all at once. Now, just a word of caution, if you're making anything in the digital audio world and you're going to use an EQ on the master bus, they call it, or two bus, stereo left and right, you need to be delicate with what you do here because, like I said, it affects everything all at once. So if I come in and I add a low pass filter and I put this thing all the way up like this, it's going to boost 150 hertz of sound for the entire track. And if I've got a loud kick drum already and a bass guitar in there, it's going to sound like complete garbage now that I've boosted that. So just a word of caution with the EQ settings on the master channel, be delicate. And if you want to just EQ what you're working with on that track, make sure you've got track selected, not master. Master, you can select all you want when you've finished writing your song and you finish recording all the parts. And then you can, it's really designed to be kind of a tweaker, I guess, not a sound shaper. That said, EQ is probably the most important tool that you have in any recording setting for any audio source. The EQ can change the sound of anything on a broad sound spectrum. Okay, so this EQ, if you can see, it's got 20 hertz as the low and 20,000 as the high. Just to give you a really quick rundown on EQ here, we're not going to hear anything unless we have a giant subwoofer in front of us under 40 hertz. So if you're not concerned about that or you're not making EDM techno music, you can just do a big roll off right at 40 hertz right there. Okay, so that's just going to turn down anything underneath 40 hertz because that information is irrelevant to what we're doing. We're not going to hear it, so get rid of it. It does still have energy in that area, and depending on what stereo system you listen to this song back on, it's going to start sounding woofy and muffled, and it's not going to sound the way you thought it sounded on your computer. So that's an idea for low end. Mid-range guitars typically sit, electric guitars or acoustic guitars will sit anywhere between 250 hertz to about 2K. Okay, so that's kind of the mid-range. That's where your guitars live. They live there very well because not a lot of other things are in that space. Obviously, other instruments, a piano will give you the broad spectrum because 88 keys on a piano is the entire frequency range from 20 hertz to 20K. So now you're starting to kind of put things together where we have the piano roll earlier that we used for MIDI. Okay, so that piano roll also translates to equalizer settings. So if you hit the very last key on an 88 key piano, that's going to live right around this high end 10 to 20K area. If you hit the bottom key on it, that's going to live way down here and probably around the 25, 30 hertz area. You hit that key right in the middle, it's going to be right in this mid-range. That gives you an idea what sound you might be crafting, what you may be looking for when you're building a song out. Okay. Vocals, for example, vocals are going to live anywhere between 500 to 6K. Obviously different for different people because we all have different vocal ranges, but you get the idea. Mariah Carey is probably somewhere between 200 to 10K because of vocal range, but I'm definitely not Mariah Carey, and nor do I profess to be. So let's grab this other guitar and just see what we get here, and I'll try and wrap this up for you as soon as I can. All right. Move this up here to see how it sounds. Okay, so it's quite loud and overpowering. So I need to adjust this volume level of that guitar, and I'm going to leave it up the middle, okay? Because I've got the other two guitars filling out my left and right sides. And this guitar, let's see if I can see the analyzer in the EQ. Okay, so you can see the energy, the EQ, this has got an analyzer on it, so it shows you the frequency range of the instrument that is on that track. So it was showing me the most energy was around this 500 to 1K, which is exactly what we mentioned before about the frequency range of guitars typically sit between 250 and 2K. We're right in the middle there. And that's where I want it to be. The bass guitar, if I click on that, click the analyzer. So you can see when we're building a song, we don't want too many things to overlap, because as soon as they start overlapping, they start masking each other. In other words, the instrument that's overlapping that has the most volume is going to just completely destroy anything else it's sharing the frequency space with. So that's why I want to keep my mid instruments, my mid-range instruments like guitars or maybe a piano that's maybe somewhere around the middle of the keyboard. I want to keep those out left and right, and I want to keep my bass and low end right in the middle, because that's going to live in the middle, and then everything else is going to be panned out somewhere else in the stereo field. And that's going to give you a more, they call it a wider mix, but it just sounds way better. And that's why we've never gone back to mono audio, right? So that when they discovered that they could split the sound and put it two different sounds in the left and right field of a stereo mix, that was, man, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were in their heyday then. So, like I said, I just wanted to turn down the volume of that guitar to make it blend in a little. Let's see how I did there. Okay, so that sounds like it's sitting in about the right spot, but it also, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I kind of lost my other guitars a little bit. Did you notice that? You can't hear them as easily anymore, even though they're in the left and the right space. Why is that? That's because there is some masking going on with all three guitars. They're all sharing the same spectrum of the EQ. So I need to do something about that. The easiest thing to do is to adjust the EQ on the guitar or guitars that got lost. So I can do two things. I can either add EQ to the guitars, or I can take away EQ from the guitars. Different settings for different guitars. So what I'll do first is the guitar I just recorded, I'll take something away. Now I can use the analyzer tool here to see what might be the best area to reduce. Okay, so did you notice how certain parts all of a sudden jumped out in the right or the left speaker? I'll play it again really quickly and you'll be able to see what I mean by that. Particularly listen to the left guitar. Okay, we're able to hear that difference. It's pretty small, and I know we're over Zoom and the audio quality is not great, but basically what I did is I just took a frequency in that particular guitar and boosted it to give it its own space away from the other two guitars. That's essentially all I did. And now you saw me make a couple of other EQ moves on this center guitar. And let's just see if that has its own space now and we can hear all three guitars and the bass and the drums. So. Okay, so I can hear all three instruments. Again, I know you might not hear exactly what I'm hearing, but from what I can hear, it sounds like there's something happening there. I can hear all five different instruments. I've got some sonic space happening here, and now I can start layering more instruments if I decide I want to do that. So we're done with the guitars. I'll show you briefly, really briefly, because I know that we're stretching time here. The keyboards and synths that are in GarageBand. So again, we're going to add another track. Click the plus sign. This time we're going to click software instrument. Okay. Click on create. The default instrument it hits here is a classic electric piano. Okay, now there's a couple ways that you can do or add piano notes here, you can use it by using your actual keyboard. And I might have to try and remember how I can do that again. It's been such a long time since I did that. I might have to look that up for you and let you know in a comment or something, or an email. Sorry, one quick thing here. I'll see if I can find it really quickly. Ooh. Nope. No, okay. There's a way that you can just use your computer keyboard to act as a piano, basically. And it's the keys, when it's enabled, it's the A to L row. And then the black notes, or the black keys on a piano, would be the Q to P row. So you can kind of map out white keys and black keys on your keyboard that way. Anyway, I have a MIDI keyboard here, and this just fits under my desk. It's connected with a USB cable into my computer, and Garageband automatically picks it up. Again, this is using the MIDI protocol. Garageband looks for anything that's projecting out a MIDI signal, and it says, oh, I found this keyboard that's using MIDI. I'll allow you to use that. So that's what we got right now. Not the greatest sound. Let's see if we can change that. On the left side here in the library again, we've got all kinds of different synthesizers and pianos and brass, orchestras, violins, cellos, whatever sound you're looking for, you're easily going to find it here. And if you are not a piano player, and I am not a piano player, trust me, I've tried and failed many times. I've given that up. I have this piano to help me write music, obviously, but I'm not a piano player, which goes to show you how easy it is actually to do. So you can pick whatever sound you want in here. Let's go orchestral. Let's look for some strings, string ensemble. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, so that's the general sound it's given us. Let me see if I got something else here. Okay, so let's say you don't want to, you're really not sure what you want to do next. Look in the loops. Again, we've got this whole loop library over on the right side. Pick your instrument. So let's say we want to find some strings. There we go, strings. Here's a whole bunch of different loops. Ooh. I'm just really curious. I want to see what that sounds like with this. This is an experiment for me too, because I've done this before, but it's been a little while since I used the loop section.
Right.
Okay. So it is following our tempo. Again, when we drag the loops in to our song, it's going to grab the key signature we used, and it's going to grab the tempo. Okay, so it's changed this loop and adjusted it to match our E minor key signature. I don't like the way it sounds, so I'll get rid of that. And we'll just go back to the keyboard section I had here. Let's see, I got to try and figure out what I was doing there. I think this is what I was doing. Okay, so I'm just going to add some synth, just to add an extra layer of something to give it some energy. So basically all I did, like I said, I'm not a piano player, but I do know where C is located on the keys. And so I count up from there. Okay. I could tell you exactly where notes are on the guitar fretboard, but on a piano, I get lost pretty quickly. So I find C. I know that the majority of the notes, like I said, I'm using an E minor key signature. So I'm going to find my E. Where's E located? It's two white keys up from C. So that's it. C, D, E, G, and then back to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's it. So let's see how this sounds. And again, we're going to balance and quickly EQ the synth, or the strings, I should say, to blend it into the song, and then we'll see how that works out. Just giving it a high-end boost to bring out some of the air. And I'm probably going to take away the low end because there's, if you can see in the analyzer, there's really nothing happening down there. Okay, so all I did there was I got rid of all the low end information because it's completely useless. It's not there. There is some energy there. It doesn't look like there is, but there is. So get rid of that because we don't want it in this strings part. I boosted the mids around 500-600K here, or 500-600 hertz, sorry, just to give it a little more bottom end, but not the low end that we just got rid of. I took out some, was at 1900 hertz. You can see right here. I took that out because I know that's where I boosted one of the guitars earlier. So I want that guitar to occupy that space. I don't want my strings to get involved in that and take away my guitars. And then I gave it some air. This is it says it's strings. If anyone here has seen someone play a stringed instrument, not a guitar, but like a cello or a violin, you can really hear it breathe when it fills the space when it's being played. And when I think of that, when I think of an orchestra playing, I think air. I think big space and air. And that's where this boost comes in on the EQ here. It's going to add some air, not too much where it's annoying to hear, but just enough to make it sound more alive, I guess you could say. Okay, so I don't know. That's, like I said, don't be thrilled with this. Turn that down a little more. There you go. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to try and sing. Now, I did mention earlier that this was an interactive thing. I wanted someone's help. So this is the time when someone gets to sing a vocal into this part.
Can you please play
I'm
it?
just kidding.
Can you please play it without the metronome?
Without the metronome, absolutely. And again, this is the master volume control up at the top, right here. So that's the loop. That's 8 bars, 5 instruments. It is what it is. Like I said, if anyone wants to sing on top of that, you know, by all means, go ahead and do that. But this is just a really quick experiment, really, example on how to slap together something in GarageBand and turn it into whatever it ends up being. Like I didn't have any preconception in here, and that's really why I wanted to start by someone else picking the tempo because that'll throw me right out of the gate, and that's how I wanted this to be kind of a spontaneous thing. And just to really illustrate how quickly and easily you can put something together and build off of that. So I know this is only 8 bars. But you can very easily, as we showed earlier, expand on that. Okay, so I can grab all of these instruments. I can just highlight all of them. Oh, I didn't grab that take. One sec. Grab everything. And, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. If my mouse would cooperate. Option. Click. Drag that out, and I should be able to duplicate this. I know I did it before. I just forgot how. Yeah, copy works. Track, duplicate. No, I don't want to do that. There we go. Sort of. Almost got everything. I just got to grab that one. There we go. Okay. So option, click. Option, click, drag. So I just duplicated that. So now I started with 8 bars. Now I've got 16. I can start changing things. Maybe I don't want this drum to be in my second part. Maybe I want this to be the verse. So I can cut that out. I can cut this out. Actually, I will leave the bass in there. I can get rid of that guitar, get rid of that one, and see what it sounds like as we move from one section to the next. See, now you're starting to get into the arrangement side of things. You can move things around, delete them, cut them, copy them, and that's how songs are built. They start out with maybe a small section and they build layer upon layer, and maybe halfway through the song, you want to change the dynamic up, so you cut some of the instruments out to mellow it out and then rebuild again. And really, if you look at songs over the last 60 years, that's pretty much how pop and rock and country has been made. It's a lot of the same thing repeated over and over, but edited and chopped and redone and copied and whatever else you want to do. So I think I'll leave it there. What I'll do is I'll mix this down. I'll send it to you, Glenn. And,
Okay.
and so that you have the file or whatever. And if anybody wants to have a listen to it, or if you want to use this for your own idea, by all means, go ahead and do that. Yeah, go ahead. What I will do actually too is I'll export the entire GarageBand project. So what that means is it'll actually give you all of these loops and tracks in the way that I've laid it out here, for you to open in your own GarageBand on your own computer. And so if you want to just build on this, go ahead and do that. If you want to change it, delete it, change it, whatever you want. And the way to do that is to just click Save As. And it says Save as Project. So right now, I'm just going to save it to my Garageband folder. And there we go. Save. That's it. So it saved the whole Garageband file. And I'll share that with you, Glenn, and then I'll mix down a 16-bar audio MP3 of this and send it to you as well.
Okay, great.
So I'm sorry this took so long. I saw a couple of yawns there, but you know what? I'm tired too. I'm tired too. So I just wanted to say thanks, Glenn, and all of you for listening to me go on and on about this. We've really just barely scratched the surface on what you can do with GarageBand and what you can do with any DAW for that matter, whether it be Ableton, Logic Pro, if you decide GarageBand after a while isn't giving you the tools you need, other DAWs are more robust maybe. So yeah, hopefully this helps you in some way.
Jesse, very much.
Yes, thank you.
No
I want to
problem.
share this with my grandchildren.
We've got a bit of echo going here, but
Probably me.
yeah, I don't know where we get coming from. But Jesse, I just want to thank you for coming tonight, demonstrating this. And you know, I was doing a little of this last time. I was kind of hoping to get you here because you're more of a professional with stuff than I am.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm trying.
Is there anything you'd like to kind of plug about some things you're doing for everybody before we let you go tonight?
Yeah,
Hey,
sure.
guys, the echo is so bad. I don't think anybody's going to understand what you're saying. Only Jesse's coming through clearly.
Just me?
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody else mute.
It might be my
Maybe
pickup.
stop the share and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I might do that. If I can figure that out.
On your screen.
There we go. Stop share. Okay. Is that better?
No, we're still getting an echo. I think it's
No, we still have.
that's why I said everybody else mute.
Yeah, it might be someone's speakers are bouncing everything around.
So,
Any better?
is there anything you wanted to kind of plug that you're working on?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that. So a couple things I'm working on. I think you alluded to that earlier. I'm building songs to put an album out later this year. And that'll be up on Spotify and Apple Music and all that other stuff, streaming platforms everywhere. I don't put any of my material for physical copy just yet, because I'm not necessarily a touring musician at this stage. I build my music at home and just release it, and that's what I do. The other artists I work with, though, I worked with a Brazilian bossa nova acoustic solo performer. That's a mouthful. And he did actually, you're wearing a Beatles shirt, Glenn, but he did a bunch of Beatles covers. He's a huge Beatles fan. And so he wanted to do some bossa nova Beatles cover songs. So we did some of that. It's not up on streaming or anything right now because he's got to get royalty permission and license permission to release those. Again, going back to the royalty thing. But we are in the digital age, and because people can release music so easily online, you can actually buy cover licenses from online distributing companies such as DistroKid. There's lots of other ones. Lander is a Canadian company. They do the same thing. But DistroKid's probably one of the most popular ones. And yes, you can do cover songs and just pay for a cover license. And DistroKid, or whichever distributing company you've gone with, handles the royalties for you. So anytime that song is played or streamed, they get a digital notification and they send any money or whatnot to the recording artist that owns that material. So anyway, so he's looking at doing that. That's that bossa nova artist. His name's Louis Barros. I think I'm putting a link up on my website for that. And the punk band that I'm working with again, we did an EP for them last year. That is available in physical copy and digital. It's also on Apple Music and Spotify and every other streaming. Driveway Legends is their name. They're a Saskatoon punk band, some old friends of mine. And we did 7 songs last year, and we're working on another 7 songs right now. In fact, they're coming here tomorrow to record vocals for the songs. We finished drums, bass, and guitars. We're going to start recording some vocals. And yeah, that's what I'm working on. Other than that, you know, taking care of the kids and the family and working a full-time job and mowing the lawn, you know.
Well, thanks. We appreciate everything tonight. And I really enjoyed it tonight. I still think we could put some kind of a soundtrack with a TV show or something.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch it to Stranger Things for next season and see what they do.
All right. We'll let you go there and appreciate it.
Thank you again, everyone. Oh, and sorry, one more plug. My website, in case anyone didn't know, is darkroastrecording.com. Simple.
Great. All right.
Thank you, everyone. And again, I'll send those files to you, Glenn, and you guys can do whatever you want with them.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Jesse.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
Okay.
Ron, you're muted there, so I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, do we hear it? Is the sound still echoing?
No,
not
it
anymore.
had something to do with Jesse.
Something to do with Jesse's setup. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, thanks everybody for sticking around, and this will be a long recording, but it will go on our website too.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I always find it, I mean, I have a real interest in music and stuff, but I find it interesting to watch how he was thinking and how he was sort of putting it together. So, again, just kind of a follow up on what I did, and I hope you guys sort of enjoyed, even though not everybody here is a musician or whatever, just how that was working. And I hope you guys like, bringing in somebody from the outside to talk rather than the same people all the time talking. So hopefully we can do more of that in the future.
One thing I wondered as I was listening to him is, with so many ways to tweak every single aspect of a song, how does he ever decide when it's done?
I think all artists face that, and I think it's easy to, at some point, I know I've caught myself, because I do graphic design as well. I noodle around with music, and at some point you just got to say enough, because I think you can always find something new or a different way to do it, And, obviously I also think if you do something enough, your ear or your eyes or whatever kind of get trained to sort of knowing, like when he was playing with some of that EQ stuff, while I do a lot of noodling around with music, I can tell that he's got an ear for it. He does enough of it that he knows exactly what he's looking for there that I might not have thought of, for instance.
For sure. Okay, guys, I think I'm ready to quit.
By the way, real quick, if you do go to his YouTube or his website or YouTube, you can actually see him playing out on the street, just like some popular music by himself with a guitar that he's done as well. So like I said, I just came across him on YouTube as I was looking for other stuff, and interesting guy, seemed really nice. And so you might check out, his Dark Roast recording website and his YouTube channel.
Also remember too, next month, all the things we didn't get in tonight, we will do. Stephen Grant created a video on digital slide photos, and Steve will also do the thing about Apple Cash. Okay. Plus whatever else Apple comes up with.
Yep.
Thank you, Glenn, for finding him.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So like I said, hopefully we can do more of this stuff in the future.
For sure. Okay, everybody, see you all. I'm gonna hit the end button.
Good night.
Good
Night.
night.
All right.